Did you know that nearly 1 in 3 retirees unknowingly locks their money into places that make banks richer, not themselves? And here's the shocking part. Over a 20-year retirement, that decision can drain more than $120,000 in lost potential income. Sounds unbelievable, right? But it happens every single day, and it's not because retirees are careless. It's because no one ever shows them the smarter, simpler alternatives. Now imagine this. What if your money could still grow for you even after you've stopped working? What if retirement didn't mean stop earning, but instead meant earn differently? The truth is, retirement isn't the finish line. It's the perfect starting point for your money to work harder than it ever has. Here's the part most people miss. The system is designed to make you feel safe keeping cash idle, when in reality, that's the slowest way to lose wealth to inflation. But don't worry, because today we're flipping that script. In this video, we're revealing 7 simple ways you can invest after retirement. Strategies designed to protect your peace of mind while still creating reliable income and growth. And before we dive in, if this is already making you think differently, don't just tap like, hit that new hype button. YouTube lets you hype 3 videos a week, and every hype pushes this message higher so more seniors can finally discover the financial freedom they deserve. Meet Oswald. At 67, Oswald thought he had everything figured out. He spent decades working hard, saving every penny he could, and when retirement finally arrived, he did what almost everyone around him advised. He parked nearly all of his savings in a regular bank account. It felt safe, it felt secure, and it felt like the responsible thing to do. But here's the twist. What Oswald didn't realize was that safety was secretly costing him thousands of dollars every single year. Oh, because while his money sat quietly in the bank, inflation was silently eating away at its value. He thought his nest egg was untouched, but in reality, every year it bought him a little less. Groceries cost more, medical bills crept higher, and the leisure trips he dreamed of seemed further and further out of reach. It was like watching sand slip through his fingers while he stood still. And Oswald isn't alone. Millions of retirees face this same hidden danger. Here's where it gets interesting. Most retirees are told to protect their money, but nobody tells them that protecting it too much can be the riskiest move of all. When you guard your money so tightly that it never grows, you're not protecting. It's like locking it in a vault and letting time rob you blind. Oswald had a moment of realization one evening when he looked at his savings statement. Despite having a 6-figure account, his interest earnings couldn't even cover a month of his household expenses. That's when it hit him. Playing it safe wasn't safe at all. If he continued down this road, his money would slowly run out, and the retirement he dreamed of, filled with freedom, travel, and peace of mind, would slip away. But Oswald did something different. Instead of panicking, he started learning. He discovered that retirement investing doesn't mean taking reckless risks. It means knowing how to balance security with opportunity. He realized that wealth isn't built by locking money away, it's built by putting it to work even after you stop working yourself. And here's the good news, you don't have to be a financial genius to do this. Oswald isn't a Wall Street banker, he's a retired high school history teacher. What changed his life wasn't complicated formulas or stock picking. It was 7 simple, practical strategies anyone can follow to keep their money alive, growing, and serving them instead of sitting idle. So today, we're walking alongside Oswald as he shares the exact 7 ways he turned his retirement savings from a shrinking pot into a thriving source of income, stability, and freedom. And trust me, the last way will surprise you because it's not about money at all, but it's the one that changed his life the most. Way 1. Safety first, high-yield savings and CDs. When Oswald first looked at his retirement savings, he panicked a little. The numbers looked big on paper, but the question nagged at him. What if something unexpected happens? What if the roof leaks, or I have a medical bill that comes out of nowhere? And here's the hard truth. Most retirees go broke not because they overspend, but because they don't prepare for emergencies the right way. That single mistake can wipe out decades of careful saving in just one bad year. Now here's where Oswald was different. Instead of leaving all his money sitting in one account, he carved out a portion specifically for safety. He discovered high-yield savings accounts and certificates of deposit, better known as CDs. And while some people might roll their eyes at the thought of boring investments, Oswald quickly realized something shocking. A high-yield savings account today can earn him up to 20 times more than the average traditional bank account. That's not a typo, 20 times more. The banks you see on every corner often pay retirees pennies in interest, while online high-yield accounts are quietly offering far more. And then there are CDs. Unlike the savings account, A CD locks in your money for a set period of time, 3 months, 6 months, a year or more, in exchange for guaranteed interest. To Oswald, it felt like creating little time capsules of money, each one waiting to open with a gift of growth. He didn't put all his money there, of course, but by spreading a little into short-term and long-term CDs, he built what he called his ladder of security. Every few months, one of those CDs matured, releasing extra cash right when he needed it. Here's the twist. Most retirees think CDs and savings accounts won't make a difference, but for Oswald, this simple step became his foundation. Why? Because it gave him peace of mind. He knew he had quick access to cash if life threw a curveball, but at the same time, his money wasn't just sitting idle, it was quietly multiplying in the background. Think of it like this. If retirement is a house, your high-yield savings and CDs are the concrete foundation. Without them, the whole structure is shaky. With them, you can build as high as you want. And Oswald learned something powerful. Once his foundation felt unshakable, he had the courage to take the next steps toward investments that created real growth and income. Now let me ask you, have you ever found yourself stuck between keeping money safe and wanting it to grow? Which side do you lean toward more right now, safety or growth? Drop your answer in the comments below, because your choice might say a lot about the way you'll handle retirement investing. And stay tuned, because while this first way is all about protection, the next way we'll look at is about creating income streams that flow into your life without lifting a finger. Way 2, dividend stocks for reliable income. When Oswald first heard about dividend-paying stocks, his reaction was probably the same as yours might be right now. Stocks? At my age? Isn't that too risky? And here's where the surprise comes in. The truth is, dividend stocks can actually be less risky for retirees than simply keeping cash in a low-interest account. That sounds backwards, right? But let me explain. Most people think of stocks as a roller coaster. Prices go up, prices go down, and your money feels like it's at the mercy of Wall Street. But dividend-paying stocks are different. These aren't companies that only rely on share prices. They're businesses with such strong financial health that they can afford to share profits with their shareholders on a regular basis. For Oswald, it was like discovering a secret club where owning just a slice of the business meant a steady stream of thank you checks. Here's the shocking part. If Oswald had invested just $100,000 into well-chosen dividend stocks 20 years ago, he could have collected more than $200,000 in dividends alone, without even touching the original investment. And that's not hype. It's the power of reinvesting dividends and letting time do the heavy lifting. While his neighbors were worried about shrinking savings accounts, Oswald was essentially getting paid to wait. He began with companies he already trusted and recognized, household names that had been around for decades. Think about it. Businesses that sell everyday products people buy no matter what's happening in the economy. Soap, food, utilities, and even healthcare. These companies don't just survive tough times, they often thrive in them. And for retirees, that means stability and predictability. What Oswald loved most was how it felt like a paycheck in retirement. Every 3 months, those dividend payments landed in his account. He didn't have to sell his investments, he didn't have to stress about timing the market. He simply collected the rewards. And unlike Social Security, which can feel uncertain as the years go by, these dividends came from sources he could choose and control. But here's the catch. Not all dividend stocks are created equal. Some companies lure retirees in with sky-high dividend rates, but those payouts often aren't sustainable. That's why Oswald focused on dividend aristocrats, companies with a proven track record of increasing their dividends year after year. Imagine that, not only do you get consistent income, but your paycheck actually grows over time to help outpace inflation. For Oswald, dividend investing wasn't about chasing quick wins, it was about creating a reliable income stream he could count on. And that shift gave him something money can't buy: peace of mind. So let me ask you, if you could build a retirement paycheck that arrives without clocking in, would you do it? Drop a yes or no in the comments below. And stay with me, because while dividend stocks gave Oswald stability and income, the next way he invested will open your eyes to a whole new world of opportunities that most retirees completely overlook. Way 3, real estate without headaches. REITs. When most retirees hear the word real estate, their minds immediately jump to one thing: stress. The late-night calls about broken pipes, chasing down tenants for rent, or the fear of being stuck with an empty property. And here's the wild part. Most people don't realize you can own real estate without owning a single building. That's exactly what Oswald discovered when he stumbled into the world of REITs, or real estate investment trusts. At first, it almost sounded too good to be true. Oswald could invest in commercial buildings, shopping centers, even massive apartment complexes, without ever swinging a hammer or speaking to a tenant. The shocking part? Some REITs have historically paid out dividends that rival or even beat the income from traditional rental properties, without the headaches. Imagine getting checks every month, but never once worrying about replacing a roof or evicting a non-paying tenant. The way REITs work is simple. They pool money from thousands of investors to buy and manage income-producing real estate. By law, these companies are required to pay out at least 90% of their taxable income to shareholders in the form of dividends. That's right, 90%. It's not optional, it's mandatory. For Oswald, that felt like a cheat code. Instead of waiting years for a rental property to pay itself off, his REIT investments started paying him almost immediately. Here's a quick example Oswald loved. Instead of spending $300,000 to buy a rental property that might only net him a few $100s a month after expenses, he could put a fraction of that into a REIT and still collect steady monthly or quarterly payouts, without the risk of a single bad tenant draining his savings. Plus, his investment wasn't tied to just one property in one city. With REITs, he got exposure to hundreds, sometimes thousands of properties spread across different regions and sectors. That meant more stability, more diversification, and far less worry. Of course, Oswald knew there were risks. REIT values can fluctuate, and not all are created equal. But by choosing REITs with a solid history, reputable management, and consistent payouts, he created a reliable income stream that made his retirement more comfortable than he ever expected. For Oswald, REITs became the middle ground he never thought existed, all the benefits of real estate without any of the burdens. It was like having the keys to dozens of properties, but never once being responsible for the lock. Now let me ask you, if you could collect monthly real estate income without ever unclogging a drain, would you take that deal? Comment yes or no below. And stick around because while REITs gave Oswald freedom from landlord headaches, the next way he invested gave him something even more powerful. Stability so strong it felt like a guaranteed paycheck every single month. Way 4 Bonds for stability. When Oswald first heard the word bonds, he pictured something boring, outdated, maybe even pointless in today's fast-paced financial world. After all, who gets excited about lending money to the government or big corporations? But here's the shocker. Bonds are one of the only investments in history that have never gone completely to zero. That's right. While stocks can crash, companies can fail, and even real estate markets can collapse, bonds, when chosen wisely, have been the quiet survivor, paying steady interest through wars, recessions, and political upheaval. At first, Oswald brushed them off. He thought, why settle for a few % interest when I could be chasing higher returns? But then he realized something powerful. In retirement, stability can matter more than excitement. He didn't need to swing for the fences anymore. What he needed was predictability, money showing up on schedule like a pension paycheck. And that's exactly what bonds provided. Here's the slightly unbelievable part. If Oswald had put $100,000 into certain long-term government bonds just 15 years ago, he could have collected nearly the equivalent of a modest annual salary, without ever touching his principal. It's not flashy, but it's dependable. And when you're retired, dependability can feel like gold. Oswald built what experts call a bond ladder. Instead of buying just one type of bond, he spread his money across bonds that matured at different times. Some in a year, some in 5 years, some in 10. This meant every year, a piece of his investment came back to him with interest, ready to be reinvested or used for expenses. He loved it because it felt like planting seeds that bloomed at different times, always giving him something fresh to harvest. And here's what most retirees don't realize. Bonds aren't just about clipping coupons. They can actually serve as shock absorbers in your portfolio. When the stock market zigzags, bonds often hold steady or even move in the opposite direction, smoothing out the bumps. Oswald quickly learned that mixing bonds with his other investments was like balancing a wobbly table. It kept everything steady no matter how much life shook it. Of course, bonds aren't perfect. Interest rates change and sometimes they can dip lower than you'd like. But for Oswald, the trade-off was worth it. He wasn't chasing the thrill of doubling his money overnight. He was buying peace of mind. And in retirement, peace of mind can be worth more than profit. So let me ask you, would you trade the chance of big gains for the certainty of steady income? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't go anywhere because while bonds gave Oswald the stability he craved, the next way he invested gave him something even better. A safe path to growth that might surprise you with how simple it really is. Way 5. Index funds and ETFs. When Oswald first dipped his toes into the stock market, he thought the secret was finding that one golden stock, the kind that could turn a small nest egg into a fortune overnight. And here's the misleading part. Every retiree has been told at least once that all you need is one good stock to change your life. Sounds exciting, right? But here's the truth. Betting on a single stock in retirement is like putting all your eggs in one fragile basket. One crack and years of savings can disappear. That's when Oswald discovered the power of index funds and ETFs. Instead of betting everything on one company's future, he bought into a basket of hundreds, even thousands, of companies all at once. Imagine it like this. Instead of planting one apple tree and hoping it survives, he planted an entire orchard. If one tree withers, the rest keep producing fruit. This is how retirees protect themselves, not by gambling but by diversifying. What shocked Oswald the most was the performance. Over decades, broad market index funds like the S&P 500 have outperformed most professional stock pickers. In fact, studies show that nearly 90% of actively managed funds fail to beat simple index funds over the long run. That means the retirees who pay high fees for exclusive investment strategies often end up with less than those who chose the boring-sounding index fund. And then there were ETFs, exchange-traded funds. Oswald loved them because they gave him flexibility. They trade like stocks so he could buy and sell them throughout the day, but they still gave him that diversified protection. He thought of ETFs as his anytime basket, ready whenever he needed to adjust his plan without the stress of picking individual winners and losers. To keep things balanced, Oswald didn't just pick one index fund. He chose a mix, a broad U.S. stock market fund for growth, an international index for global exposure, and even a bond ETF for extra stability. It was like building a balanced meal. Some protein, some vegetables, and just enough flavor to keep it exciting. Here's where the emotional connection kicked in for Oswald. Before, he used to lose sleep every time the market dipped. But with index funds and ETFs, he finally felt calm. He knew that while one company might stumble, the market as a whole has always recovered and grown stronger over time. For him, that meant freedom, freedom from stress, freedom from guessing, and freedom to actually enjoy retirement. So let's turn it over to you. Would you rather chase the thrill of high-risk, high-reward investments, or would you prefer the steady, orchard-style growth that index funds and ETFs provide? Let's get the debate going in the comments below. And don't click away yet, because Oswald's next move is one that few retirees think about, but it might be the most personal and meaningful investment you can make. Way 6. Annuities for lifetime income. When Oswald turned 68, a thought kept him awake at night. What if I live longer than my money? And here's a shocking but true twist. Statistics show that 1 out of every 4 retirees will live past 90. That means even a $1 million nest egg can evaporate if you're not careful. Imagine spending decades working hard, only to reach your late 80s with a bank account that whispers instead of roars. At first, Oswald thought annuities sounded too good to be true. Guaranteed income for life? Come on, that has to be a sales gimmick, he muttered. But when he dug deeper, he discovered the power behind them. An annuity is like striking a deal with an insurance company. You hand them a chunk of your savings, and in exchange, they promise to pay you every month for as long as you live. Even if you live to 110, the checks keep coming. That's not magic. It's math pooled across thousands of retirees. Oswald realized annuities weren't about getting rich quick. They were about something far more valuable in retirement: certainty. With his annuity, he created his own personal pension, something fewer and fewer people have today. While friends of his were glued to the news, stressing over the latest market crash, Oswald slept peacefully, knowing that money would show up in his account like clockwork. Of course, not all annuities are created equal. Some come loaded with high fees, tricky riders, or restrictions that can trap the unwary. But Oswald found a simple, immediate annuity that worked like a charm. No hidden drama, just steady, predictable income. He even blended it with his other investments, so part of his money was locked into guaranteed income, while the rest stayed flexible for growth and emergencies. That balance gave him freedom without fear. Here's where it gets emotional. Oswald told his daughter, "Now I don't just hope my money lasts, I know it will." For him, that certainty was worth more than chasing another percentage point in returns. Because in retirement, peace of mind is often the highest paying investment of all. So let me ask you, would you trade some of your savings today for the comfort of knowing you'll never run out of money, no matter how long you live? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear where you stand. And stick around because the seventh and final way Oswald invested isn't just about money, it's about legacy, meaning, and the one decision that shocks most retirees when they finally hear it. Way 7. Investing in yourself. When Oswald thought he had seen every possible way to invest, he stumbled upon the most surprising one of all. And here's the part most retirees don't hear enough. The greatest asset you'll ever own isn't in the bank, the market, or even real estate. It's you. That may sound exaggerated, but think about it. Your skills, passions, and creativity don't disappear at retirement. If anything, they become more valuable because now you finally have the time to nurture them. At first, Oswald believed retirement meant slowing down, shrinking his world, and living off what he had already built. But then he realized something startling. The average retiree spends over 40 hours a week watching television. That's the equivalent of working a full-time job, except instead of earning, you're just burning time. And time, once lost, can never be reinvested. That hit him like a thunderbolt. So Oswald made a bold choice. He took a slice of his savings, not a huge amount but enough to matter, and invested it in himself. He signed up for an online course on digital photography, a hobby he'd always loved but never pursued seriously. Within months, he wasn't just snapping photos for fun. He was selling prints online, even booking small projects for local events. It wasn't about making a fortune. It was about proving to himself that retirement didn't mean the end of growth. And here's the powerful truth. Oswald's small investment in himself returned dividends far beyond money. It gave him purpose. It gave him a reason to wake up excited every morning. It connected him with new communities and sparked conversations that made him feel alive again. For Oswald, the joy of turning a passion into even a modest income stream was worth more than any stock or bond. The emotional shift was profound. No longer did he see retirement as a time of fading away. Instead, he saw it as a new chapter, a stage where he could still contribute, create, and thrive. And here's a little secret. Studies show that seniors who continue to learn and challenge themselves are not only happier but can actually extend their lifespan. That's right. Investing in yourself may not just make you richer in spirit, it might literally add more years to your life. So let's make this real for you. If you could take one skill, one passion, or one dream you've been holding back, and turn it into something meaningful today, what would it be? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to see the variety of talents and passions in this amazing community. And stay tuned because Oswald's journey doesn't just end here. It transforms into something bigger. The final wrap-up will reveal how all 7 ways together created a life of freedom, stability, and joy in his retirement. Oswald's journey is proof that retirement doesn't have to be a slow fade into the background. It can be the boldest chapter yet. He started out like so many retirees, clutching his savings and fearing it would never be enough. But here's the shocking truth. Retirement isn't when money stops growing. It's when most people accidentally let it die. And that's the trap Oswald escaped. By spreading his wealth across high-yield safety nets, dividend stocks, real estate trusts, bonds, index funds, annuities, and finally himself, he built not just a portfolio but a lifestyle. Each step gave him something new: security, freedom, growth, and most of all, peace of mind. He no longer worried if he would outlive his money. Instead, he began asking, how can my money outlive me and create a legacy? That shift from fear to confidence is the ultimate transformation. What surprised him most wasn't the numbers, it was the feeling. For the first time in years, Oswald stopped counting pennies and started counting possibilities. He realized retirement wasn't the end of earning, it was the beginning of earning smarter. His money was no longer trapped, it was working for him around the clock, while he finally had the freedom to live life on his own terms. And this is where it gets real for you. The same 7 ways Oswald used aren't reserved for financial experts or the ultra-wealthy. They're tools available to any retiree willing to rethink the way they see money. The difference comes down to a choice. Do you want retirement to be a story of shrinking and worrying, or a story of expanding and thriving? So let me leave you with this. The only person standing between you and financial freedom in retirement is the one staring back at you in the mirror. If Oswald could transform his fears into confidence, why not you? Now it's your turn. What part of Oswald's journey resonated most with you? Drop it in the comments below, and let's inspire each other to rewrite the meaning of retirement together. Before you click away, let me leave you with something powerful. Most retirees who watch videos like this never take action. They nod, they agree, and then they slip back into the same old routines that keep their money stuck. And that's the difference between a retirement of worry and a retirement of freedom. Don't let that be your story. If this video gave you even one idea that could protect or grow your retirement, then do yourself a favor, hit that like button right now. It's not just a thumbs up, it tells YouTube this message matters. And here's something most people don't realize. When you hit that new hype button, you're not just helping yourself. You're helping thousands of seniors discover advice that could literally change the course of their retirement. YouTube only lets you hype 3 videos a week, so make this one count. And think about this, how many people do you know right now who are terrified of outliving their money? Maybe a sibling, a friend, a neighbor from church. Sharing this video with them could be the wake-up call they need. One click from you could ripple out into their lives in ways you can't imagine. That's not just sharing a video, that's sharing peace of mind. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Every week, we bring strategies, stories, and simple steps designed to help retirees like you turn fear into freedom. Subscribing isn't about filling your feed, it's about filling your future with knowledge and confidence. Because the more you know, the stronger your retirement becomes. So let's make a deal. If you found value here, like the video, hype it, share it with at least one friend, and subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Together, we can rewrite what retirement looks like, not as an ending but as a new beginning. Now tell me in the comments, what's one step you're ready to take this week to invest smarter in your retirement? Your answer might just inspire someone else to take action too.